Hello and welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. I had to look up and see which program we were doing. Welcome to old age, folks. I'm going to start over. Kent Adams here, and welcome to the Pulse of Spokane. We've been focusing for a couple months here with my friend Phil Tyler to talk about suicide and mental illness and all of that. We've been through a pandemic. We've kind of the roughest mental times of all, in addition to the physical issues that came with that and so forth. And Phil and I have been talking about mental illness and suicide for a number of years now. We're going to talk about his success since the last time he was here. Two things have happened. He's gotten more folks around our community to sign up for some attention to mental illness and so forth. And he just came back from a very unique training situation. We'll be back with Phil Tyler right after this. Well, welcome back. Phil, how are you?
I am good, but the greater question, particularly as we're talking about these issues, Ken, is how are you doing, and how are you really doing, my friend? I've been concerned and thinking about you, as has Meg, and she asked me to make sure I asked you when I came in today.
It's a tough time for everybody,
Yeah.
for all kinds of things, isn't it? Everything from our kids in school to you name it these days. Last time we talked, you had a kind of a petition and we were taking it around to the various city councils and county government and all of that. Where are you in that now?
Yeah, this is the wonderful thing about our city. This is a wonderful thing about bringing voice to these issues, such as you've been doing for us. The mayor, Nadine Woodward, bless her heart, she gave us a proclamation
Nice.
to declare May as Mental Health Awareness Month. And really, that's the first step in getting a change, getting a movement in your community, is bringing awareness.
Yes.
So she declared that proclamation. Dr. Velasquez was there with myself to accept it.
Yes.
At council chambers. And then the very next day, our commissioners,
Okay.
and thank Al French for reaching out to me and saying, Phil, hey, I want to do something about raising awareness of our citizens. And they drafted a proclamation, and they read that proclamation on the record Tuesday afternoon.
Oh, wow.
And then Tuesday evening, the city of Spokane Valley and my dear friend, Councilwoman Brandy Peets, who sits on the mental health task force for the mayor of Spokane here too, got their council to draft a proclamation to declare Mental Health Awareness Month as well for the month of May. And that is a huge step, because it puts
Kind of puts people on
hope.
notice.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it puts those elected officials, their name and their brand out there recognizing this. And then we, as their citizens, as their constituents, get to hold them accountable for actions that go beyond the awareness campaign. But you have to start at the awareness level.
And it gives us a reason to talk about it.
Absolutely.
Okay, it's mental illness month, so we can talk about it.
Yes.
Sometimes we need that.
We need it.
You
And
know what
without
I mean?
any stigma
Yeah,
attached to
yes.
it, because we know
It's okay.
all of us are going to confront some level
Yes.
of this in our life, whether it's friend, whether it's ourselves,
Right.
Whether it's still surrounding us. And we need to be able to do that so it's not stigmatizing them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, people won't reach out to it. Look, May is also Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
Okay.
And we know statistically that they are the least likely ethnic group to reach out for services. Something like only 23% will reach out and get the services that they need.
Wow.
And part of that has to do with stigma. I mean,
Okay.
there's a litany of things, whether that be discrimination, whether that be their faith and their spirituality,
Right,
whether
right.
that be, this model minority myth The stigma and shame always is a big part of this. But if we can acknowledge this through proclamation of their elected officials,
Yes.
it's telling them that we see you, we hear you, we're here to support you, and we're not going to stigmatize you.
Yeah, yeah. It's about time we're doing this.
Oh, my gosh.
It really is.
Yes, sir.
And I think I mentioned before we started this, I remember thinking about what people were talking about, mental illness and the challenges and all of that. It was the first time I heard a president really say much about it, and that was George W. Bush. And he said, no, we should be covering these services and so forth. And I'm thinking, well, is that really the function of government and so forth? Well, if we're doing the physical side, yes. And it got me to start to think about it. And I think here we
Absolutely.
are today.
Absolutely.
For you to come back and say that you've got the Valley City and the county commissioners and so forth. So now what happens?
Yeah. Now we keep doing our work, right?
Okay.
The task force that the mayor has convened, we keep doing our work. We have a meeting tomorrow. We have our large group meeting at the end of the month, but we start really focusing on this awareness first, getting people to talk about this.
Yes.
The reality is you ask the question, is it the elected official's job, the government's job, to talk about these things? If we look at it from a public health standpoint, the answer is absolutely yes. And you and I can sit here and we both can admit mental health and suicide are public health issues.
Yes.
It's affecting our broad community, not just individuals, not just a swath of individuals.
Right.
It's affecting it. It's the second leading cause of death in the state of Washington for the ages 15 to 24.
Oh, wow.
Right? And you might be surprised at this. It's one of the leading causes of death of white males 65 or above.
My contemporaries.
Yeah.
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 Why is that, I wonder?
There's a myriad of things,
No longer
right?
needed.
Well,
by society?
no, because we need that decades of knowledge. We need that information shared. We need those examples and those mentors. There's a litany of things. It could be illness, really bad, severe illness.
Sure.
It could be losing a long-time life partner,
Yes.
and that feeling of isolation and loneliness. Those are real issues.
Yes.
There might be with the pandemic and the work stoppages and shortages. They might be out of work.
Yes.
So there's a
Or so
litany
isolated,
of things.
yes.
Yeah. And again, we talked about this before in our previous conference. Loneliness
Yeah.
is a huge contributing factor. And we don't mean that they're by themselves in their home when they might be. We mean that those around them may not be seeing
Yes.
that they're hurting, they're
Yes.
suffering.
Yes.
And it's our job as community,
Yeah.
to see them in their suffering, in their pain, and offer assistance.
Yeah, I've told some of my family members, including my sister in Los Angeles, that after losing my wife a few weeks ago, that I found I'm a pretty good actor when
Yeah.
I'm with other people.
Yeah.
Okay, but when you're all of a sudden by yourself and you don't have that spouse to talk to and you've had her for almost 55 years, it's a little tougher. And it's not easy. It just isn't easy. But I can begin to see how that can take over people and how they have maybe to face that. It's not easy.
And my heart hurts. And again, that's why I started our conversation with how are you doing, really? And Meg was concerned about that. And I'm sitting here, choking back tears because I know the pain. I don't know your pain.
Yeah.
But losing a loved one, and this is what we're talking about with the 65 or older, is that it's difficult.
Yes.
But you are that hope with skin on, Kent. You are the example to men out there and women who lose a partner they've been with for decades.
Yes.
To talk about. Don't hold it in. Because there is someone out there that's willing to sit in your suffering and pain and be an ear for you. And if we notice something even worse, to be a guide for you, to lead you to those resources that are needed for you.
I have never realized I had so many friends as I
Amen.
have in the last 3 weeks.
I'm glad.
I really, and some have been very personal. Some have just been reaching out and all of that. And each of those over 300 mentions on Facebook really helped, just counting the numbers even. And I would report it to my kids as we're sitting around making decisions that the community out there is aware. And it really helped. It really helped. But so we move ahead.
Yes.
You did something quite unique last week. And I knew you were going because you mentioned it when you were here last time. That's why you have to show up every 3 or 4 weeks to report on what you're up to, because you're always up to something.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good. No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding, Phil. You went to a special training in New York City?
Yes.
New York City?
New York.
Yeah.
It was actually in the suburbs of New York, but yes.
But tell us about that. And
Yeah,
why
so-
it's important, because I think it's quite unique.
Yeah, so the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, I sit on the board here in Washington, and a group called Soul Shop have been trying to get through to the church, and specifically the black churches.
Okay.
And they've had a difficult time doing that because they really didn't have the representation to make that entry,
The connections,
into
yeah.
those places and those connections. And so they got together, AFSP and the Soul Shop, to train trainers to go into these spaces and talk about the connection of faith and mental health and suicide prevention.
Yeah.
And so I spent a week there in New York with my peers and really learned and got certified in this training to bring
Nice.
it back to our respective communities and really try to make a difference. And here's the unique thing about this Soul Shop. It is a program that we went through for a week, but it's a movement. And what I mean by that is we're not coming in to facilitate this training to you, bless you, and send you on your
Yes.
way. We are there to create what we call a soul-safe community, a place where Kent and Phil can do just what we're doing today.
Yes.
Talk about the experiences of loss, talk about the experiences of mental health and suicide, and what is our role as faith leaders in our community
Yeah.
to knock down the stigma that's associated with it, to provide resources and acknowledgement, and to never let anyone feel like they're alone.
One of the things I would guess at and in how I would interpret would be that the black community is traditionally very religious.
Correct?
Okay.
And that faith runs a spectrum, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
But then the answer from some of the pastors may be go pray about it.
absolutely. Or maybe you need to come to Bible study instead of just Sunday services.
Okay.
And that
this goes beyond.
It goes beyond
It
that,
goes with the reality that that's where things are
Yes,
often,
yes.
doesn't it? And goes to the next step.
Yeah, to your point, our society has become so fractured because of the pandemic, isolated. But oftentimes we find community in our houses of faith.
Yes.
But if you go there and it's not an accepting environment,
Yes.
if they're still stigmatizing this,
Yes.
if they're making comments like suicide doesn't occur in the black community,
Yeah.
that's a white thing. You don't need any counseling. Just come in here and get the word.
Yeah.
That can be stigmatizing to someone and or traumatizing where they don't come and open up and
Now
seek
you've
the
made
help
it
that
harder-
they need.
harder for
Absolutely.
the people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this training helps to strip away that. And it's specifically for our group, for the black church, but we do it for any congregation. We do it for communities in general. We do it for youth leaders.
Okay.
So it's not specific to only the black church. It is specific to those that have faith and spirituality in general.
Right.
Right. We talked about the AAPI community, and they have a different faith and spirituality. It may not be rooted in Western faith. It may be, maybe there's some acupuncture, maybe there's some Japanese traditional things, maybe there's herbal remedies. All of that should be accepted and acknowledged.
But you got to meet
and
people where they are.
That's it right there.
I mean, when it comes down to
That's it right
okay?
there. And so you have to be, as we say, culturally competent, right? We're not going to go into Kent's church, as black or Asian folks and say, this is the way you should do it, non-Western tradition. It may not work for you, but you have to have those in the community that are willing to go into those spaces
Okay.
that can and make that connection and build community.
How do you find the time to do all this?
That's a good question because there's so many hours. There's only so many hours in a day. But here's the thing, Kent. When you're doing something that you're passionate about,
Yeah.
you'll make the time. When we have the connection to loss, you have a loss, I have a loss, it's worth doing it because you don't want anyone to feel the way you do. In a sidebar, you said you don't want to look at Facebook and see a video of a friend of yours crying about the loss of a child. I don't want to have to send a message to Kent for his loss of a decades-long spouse. Those things create suffering.
Yeah.
And the work that we do, AFSP, Soul Shop, myself and others, really helps to create community so no one ever feels alone, no matter where they're at.
Good.
And they're willing to talk.
I
And
love
that
it.
changes things. That's why it's a movement, not just a moment.
Well, and when you can start to get adult males to talk about these things.
Even better,
Okay,
because we don't.
because we don't share those things.
We don't.
We
And
just,
and I think one of the myths is among men is that we don't want to show our emotions or feeling.
No.
But that's a myth. We do. We just need to make sure we do it in spaces that are safe for us to do it.
Exactly.
And if we model this,
Yes.
you and I talking about this today, my mentors in the Soul Shop training, others in the community, our commissioners, right? Our council members are modeling this, other people, particularly men. And we have to acknowledge that
Yep.
men
Yep.
have a problem with opening up their emotions.
Yep.
But we're modeling this for so many people, sons, daughters, wives,
Yep.
brothers, sisters, uncles. And if they see us not doing it, we're
Yeah.
going to do the same thing and have these negative coping skills that could ultimately lead to a loss of a life.
Yes.
We don't want that.
No, we certainly
We don't want that.
Okay, so the big question now I have is, how do people get in touch with you or others? Are you the only one from Spokane?
I'm the only trainer on the West Coast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I see Alaska Airlines and a couple other airlines in your future.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do we learn? How do we connect to you and others that you will be obviously training and bringing
Absolutely.
along? Because you can't do it alone.
No, not at all. The idea is to.
I know you're good at things, but
I'm not that good.
Yeah.
And all of this work requires a community to be involved
Yes.
in it. You can't have 1 or 2 or 10 folks doing it. We have to become that force multiplier, as we said in the service, right? I train 10 or 12 people. They go out and then give the information to 20 more people, and they go out and give it to 20 more people. And next thing you know, we have this movement starting. So they can always reach me on my social media pages. They're always wide open. I'm going to leave a pamphlet with you here. Hopefully you can put up the information
we can do that.
when this airs to get a hold of Soul Shop. Soul Shop will get a hold of Phil, and we can do this.
Okay.
But I'm going to be bringing it to our mental health task force, our mayor, again, our commissioners. I hope to partner with foundations such as Innovia,
yes.
getting in contact with Shelley O'Quinn, who's a friend of mine, and really trying to bring resources to bear to help facilitate these trainings and really start changing this narrative.
Yeah, we need to do it. And we need to have the guts to speak out
Absolutely.
and ask for help as well as give help too.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can all begin to do that now.
There's a model within Soul Shop that I have to mention, Kent, because you do it. It's called CALL, and it's an acronym, and C stands for commit to talking with someone or telling someone when something in your life is going bad or you're having these bad thoughts. And we do that with one another, obviously. The A is to ask specifically, hey, are you thinking about harming yourself? Are you thinking about taking your life? Do you have a plan for these kind of things? And people struggle with that. But part of this training helps you to have those kind of conversations.
Yes.
The L is listen.
Yes.
And that is such a powerful step. It might be the only thing that person needs
Yes.
to be
Yes.
heard.
Yes.
Right, in their struggling, in their pain. And then the L is lead them to the resources that leave them in a better place, a safer place.
Yeah.
And this conversation, this relationship that we have built, Kent, hits all of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hits all of those. And it's very important. And that's the model we want to bring to our cities, municipalities, our county government, broader aspects to our faith communities. And we can really make a difference in this.
Well, we as a community come together for so many things. We've just seen some of it with Bloomsday. We've seen it with the Lilac Parade.
Yeah.
We'll see it with the 3-on-3 world's largest basketball
Absolutely.
game
Yeah.
coming up. I mean, we're back to normal again, whatever normal is.
Sure.
I don't remember normal, but and we've come together to build Expo 74, 50 years ago almost, and things like that. We can come together to prevent these problems as a community if we work together.
And that should be the new normal.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, Phil.
Thank you, brother.
Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you for watching. See you next time on the Pulse of Spokane.
Hello, I'm Parker with Hope Neighborhood Counselors. Hope is a student-led professional coffee production here at the Hutton Settlement. To promote cultural awareness through country of origin studies with coffee farmers worldwide. And third, provide a sustainable funding for the Hutton Settlement education program.
Hi, my name is Roxanne. Please join us to nurture and educate Hutton youth by becoming a monthly coffee subscriber. You can visit us by going to www.huttonsettlement.org and click on the About Us page. Thank you.